The phrase around this time of year is "lest we forget." Have people just forgotten?
Well, I don't know if any of them really are that interested. They're too busy making money, so they don't consider it a privilege to live in this country.
They want us to forget our heritage and to fill it with a vacuum of their choosing.
Well, folks, it is now 11:01, and as I stood respectfully and gave my minute of silence, I could hear all manner of people walking past me. This is extremely sad for me. I remember the day when, if you were at Yonge Dundas Square or anywhere else in the city, you couldn't get to a cenotaph, people would actually pull over their cars. They would get out and for 1 minute observe a moment of silence. And it's funny too, the authorities have been discouraging people from going to cenotaphs. It's about the Wuhan virus after all. They don't want any kind of mass congregations, but I can tell you, in the Eaton Centre, these stores are open for business. Walmart, Costco, I'm sure there's hundreds of people in those stores. And I guess at the end of the day, when it comes to Remembrance Day, when it comes to honoring our veterans, some of whom paid the ultimate sacrifice, is it too much to ask that you wear a poppy on this day and that at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month, you stop what you're doing just for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and pay tribute? Well, obviously it is too much to ask. That's sad. Yet here we are, looking for those who are wearing poppies. And well, the camera doesn't lie, folks. I see here's a lady, that's number 2. So far, 2 poppies. And I guess it's looking like Don Cherry did make a valid case that we once had a saying, lest we forget, and now it looks like the vast majority of the populace has indeed forgotten. I would say 95% of the people we've observed are not wearing poppies. What do you make of this?
The only thing I can say is people are probably avoiding places where the people are collecting, right? So yeah, I don't think it's anything against the poppies themselves. And that again, they got that bank, Chinese bank there to pay for a poppy, which is kind of not the best. So.
Well, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not from Toronto. I'm from Saskatchewan. I think it's more, this is just how I was raised, to wear it. I don't know why you don't see it around much here. Perhaps, there's not a lot of patriotism and, inculcated in young people, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad. Certainly the expression for this time of year is lest we forget. Do you think we've forgotten?
Well, that would be a sad thing to admit, but I saw an older gentleman over there where he's got his bagpipes and he's got his poppy on, and I was on I just got off the TTC when it was 11 or 10:59, and the TTC stopped. They stopped so you have different levels. I hope we haven't forgotten.
Purpose of our visit downtown today, sir, was just to see how many Torontonians were indeed wearing the poppy. So we didn't come here to the cenotaph. If you're going to attend a Remembrance Day ceremony, it's pretty much 100%. But sadly, at 11 a.m. at Yonge Dundas Square, we did a poppy count, if you will. Easily 95% of the people were not wearing a poppy. What do you make of that, sir?
I think it's disgusting. I think they have no appreciation of what was done for them.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we can't be militant and forceful about making people wear a poppy, but I guess in the final analysis, it's almost as though one of the freedoms we enjoy, thanks to the veterans, is the freedom to be disrespectful.
Well, unfortunately, it's a case of the worthy sacrifice themselves for the unworthy.
Yeah, indeed. Now,
And listen to this. They could not stop construction for at least an hour while the ceremony is over. If that isn't disrespectful, I don't know what is.
oh my goodness, you mean this racket was going on right during the ceremony?
Exactly. Yeah. No site foreman or anything could say, look, it's going to be on for about an hour, give them the peace, right? But no, these bastards kept it going the whole time. Yep.
You agree, sir?
I'm a woman, first of all.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. You agree, ma'am?
That's okay.
I can't tell. Everyone's so masked up.
I do agree, sir. 100%. I mean, come on. 1 hour? 1 hour. Like, they wouldn't even have this freedom to do what they're doing, everyone.
All this racket was going on during the ceremony.
Right through. Right through.
The phrase around this time of year is "lest we forget." Have people just forgotten?
Well, I don't know if any of them really are that interested. You know, they're too busy making money, so they don't consider it a privilege to live in this country.
They don't want people anywhere in Canada going to the cenotaphs because of social distancing, and yet, but wait a second, the liquor stores are open, the Costco's are open, the Walmarts are open, right?
And I'll tell you another reason why. They want us to forget. They want us to forget. They want us to forget our heritage, and to fill it with a vacuum of their choosing.
Created COVID.
Well, it would seem to be that way, given that there's a double standard in terms of where the government will allow us to congregate.
Absolutely. They're trying to fill a vacuum. And they want to say, well, new Canadians are great. Not a problem with new Canadians. But we do not supplant new Canadians with old Canadians. We're both here, we both share the same country, but it shouldn't be pushed out of the way. And that's what it's getting in this country. It's not about racism, it's about pushing people out of the way and saying new Canadian is more important than old Canadian, that we're a dying generation. And you know what? I'm not dead until they screw me into that ground. And I know you're the same way.
Came across Jack. He is a constant protester with the Yahoo Nation crowd. And Jack, I'm reading your sign. It says, John Tory, how many homeless veterans are there in Toronto? How about border hoppers? I guess what you're saying, Jack, is that we have a double standard in terms of, caring for the men and women who put their lives on the line to defend Canada, and yet at places like Roxham Road, it's a free-for-all.
We definitely do. I live out in the Parkdale area, and I see all kinds of homeless veterans, and out on the streets, sleeping out even in the middle of the winter, and lots of immigrants too. But it's the vets, for the most part, aren't getting taken care of. I mean, the people who come across the border get taxied to the nearest hotel.
Indeed, and we've seen evidence of that. I mean, in fairness, though, is this on John Tory or is it not on our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau? That is who should be responsible for national security, should it not?
I think they all bear a responsibility. Granted, Trudeau is the one who has all the taxation power, so he certainly has more ability to do something to solve the problem than the other levels of government do. So.
And we saw a few years ago in Edmonton a veteran asking the Prime Minister at a town hall meeting, complaining about the benefits for veterans, and the Prime Minister, infamously, I should think, said that the veterans are asking for too much, and yet, on the other hand, we had a convicted Al-Qaeda terrorist by the name of Omar Khadr get an 8-figure check and a public apology. How do you square this?
Oh, it's very clear. Our Prime Minister only cares about how things look in the public eye. He'll say and do anything that's going to get him more votes, make him more popular. And right and wrong doesn't mean the damnedest thing to him.
It's kind of sad to think that you'd get more votes by dissing the veterans and supporting a convicted murderer who killed an ally of Canada when he threw that hand grenade. Who buys into this in terms of popularity, Jack?
Well, I think the difficulty is that the homeless veterans really don't have much of a voice. Nobody hears them. On the other side, we've got so many different organizations in Canada that look after, like the NCCM, CARE CA. But it seems that every month or two there's a new one cropping up to look after different special interest groups, all funded by Mr. Trudeau. He has money for absolutely everything except the veterans.
Well, folks, in the final analysis, what have we learned since spending about an hour here at Yonge Dundas Square and discovering that at least 95% of the passers-by are not wearing a poppy in the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month? Well, to be quite frank, it's sad, it's distressing, and I'll be honest, it's downright infuriating for me, but at the same time, we can't be militant about poppy wearing. We can't have a law forcing people to wear poppies. Our veterans, after all, gave so much to preserve our freedoms. And one of those freedoms, quite frankly, is the freedom to be disrespectful. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, if you're able to, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. Sometimes we need bodyguards, sometimes we need lawyers. If you're able to make a donation, it's much appreciated when it comes to telling you the other side of the story.